Well, the 99th and 100th race in the series history takes place at the Jamsil Sports Complex in eastern Seoul. World Championship single-seater racing returning to Korea after 9 years. This is what the grid looks like. Reigning champion Nick de Vries down in 15th place. He won't be able to help his teammate from there. Antonio Felix da Costa in 12th. Title contenders, I should say, all inside the top 10.
차지하고 있습니다. 자, 하나둘씩 전부 다 그리드이.
Oliver Rowland is on pole position in the Mahindra. De Grassi is second on the grid. On the left, in the black Venturi. The championship leaders a little further back. All 5 lights are on. And we go green in Seoul. Pretty good start from Evans. Mitch Evans in 3rd place goes to the outside. Rowland's getting swamped. Can Evans take the lead? Coming down into the right-hander. He's hanging it out on the outside. But De Grassi takes the lead. Evans is 2nd. Rowland is 3rd. Everybody safely through the first couple of corners. Brilliant start from De Grassi, but Evans has got the lead. The Jaguar man is on an absolute mission, and Mitch Evans hits the front after 2 turns in the SeoulEprix. 3rd is De Grassi, 3rd is Rowland, 4th is Dennis, 5th is Mortara. Verner's got ahead of Van Dorn. Verline has dropped from 4th all the way down to 8th place, and that is the dream start for Mitch Evans.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Mitch Evans. Did exactly what he had to do. This surface here, new surface inside the Olympic Stadium, is like ice in the wet. You can see the cars fishtailing around as everybody tries to put the power down. Great stuff from Mitch Evans. As these cars further back, though, they get into the heavy rain areas.
And here comes Rowland attacking Lucas De Grassi, sends it up the inside into the stadium section, and he makes it through. So Rowland back up into 2nd place. Must have been an error from De Grassi in there. So Evans leads, Rowland 2nd, De Grassi 3rd, Dennis 4th.
I'll finish my point. Yeah, here they can't actually see directly ahead of them. They have to look off to the side to see where they are on the circuit relative to their braking points. And one of the Andretti's looking all over the back of Lucas De Grassi. This tells me maybe that Evans set the car up for the wet. De Grassi set the car up for the dry later on, hoping the track is going to become fully dry in the next 43 minutes plus a lap.
Evans is pulling away at the moment up at the front. Mortara's going defensive. Dennis to the inside of De Grassi. Late cover from De Grassi. Mortara's in 5th ahead of Jean-Eric Verne. Van Dorn seems to be quite a long way back. Yeah, they're at the top. 6 coming through in the barrier at the back. A few in the barrier at the back. 3 in the barrier at the back. Yellow flag out, and that might cause a little pause to the race. Dennis gets De Grassi. Dennis gets ahead of Lucas De Grassi and up into 3rd position, and it's a red flag. Red flag is out, and that's why. Buemi up on top. Nato in there, Turvey in there, Askew in there, Cassidy in there as well, and Tictum in there, and Lotterer in there also.
Very odd accident. It was like they hit some kind of oil or something. They'll just one after the other missed the braking point. Cassidy trying to get his car out.
Cassidy hauling himself out of the barrier. 43 minutes plus a lap to go, and the red flag is waved. So yeah, it was. It's not raining currently, but it was as if it was in New York City, and everybody sort of hit oil and went straight on, or something like that. It was very bizarre.
Yeah, that wasn't. Clearly, it didn't affect the front runner, so maybe somebody closer to the back had a problem in front and dropped some kind of fluid, because that was, yeah, just bizarre. De Vries is the car that is underneath Buemi, and he's saying on the radio that he is okay. The roll hoop and the halo doing their job there, but so De Vries is the car underneath, and he's saying he's okay on the radio. So that's the most important news. But into the stadium section we come again, and now Nato has hauled himself out of the carnage. Askew at the back is trying to remove himself from the particular position that he's found himself in. This is important for Mercedes EQ's championship. Let's have a look here. Here we come, down into the right-hander. Someone going to the inside. Sete Camera sends it in. He goes through fine. And then a few just sort of slither wide. Oh, and then a couple of big hits at the back, sort of out of, and then everyone piles in at the back. Very weird accident, that. Yeah, I don't get that one, because it's not the first lap.
Yeah, you're right.
They've gone through there.
Here they come in again. Very strange incident there, but there you can see. Well, how many is that for? 8 cars off, and that's the reaction in the Porsche garage. But yeah, was that 8 cars in the wall down there? Tictum's climbed out of the car. The Avalanche Andretti team,
cars.
Yeah, getting ready to go again. but really, really odd incident. So 43 minutes plus 1 lap to go as we clear up this incident in the early stages of the SeoulEprix. Evans coming through, and then we just need to get the crane to pull away some of these cars. And Evans will return now to the pit lane, and then the race will restart behind the safety car, and then we will be getting back underway. But as we say, the more I think about it, the more I don't quite like it. There's Nato, who's made his way back into the pits, but the first 15 cars all got through absolutely fine, and then everyone else just ploughed into the wall.
Yeah. Now, if you're Mitch Evans and you have set the car for a wet race, this is not going to be part of your game plan, because we're going to wait probably 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes here. Track's going to be a lot drier when they restart.
Ticktum and Lotterer having a chat. And there is the car park down on the exit of that corner. Oliver Turvey still in the car. Presumably Oliver Turvey thinking he can get back out there, basically, if they carry on with the race. There's Alexander Sims, who's at the back. He managed to avoid the chaos, but he's one of the very few drivers who started towards the back of the grid who actually got through that, because I would say it's almost... So who was the first one in? Ticktum maybe in 13th, Buemi in 10th went in, then Nato in 11th on the grid, Ticktum 13th on the grid, De Vries 15th on the grid, Turvey 18th on the grid, Cassidy 19th on the grid, Lotterer and Askew 20th and 22nd on the grid. So a very odd situation, that. So everybody now returns to the pit lane.
There's multiple surfaces as you go into that corner, and those have created some problems earlier in the day, but it just doesn't add up.
So Evans leading, Van Dorn 7th. If it finished like this, we've got a long way to go, but if it finished like this, Evans would take the championship fight to tomorrow. Jean-Eric Verne climbing out of the car under these red flag conditions. And Turvey is out of the car now, so they've obviously realized that he's not going to be able to continue. And we will get, obviously, and there is Buemi. De Vries still in the car underneath Buemi's car.
Yeah, he's got nowhere to go, has he? The halo's just done such a tremendous job, hasn't it? It's that kind of horseshoe-shaped thing above the drivers, and in all kinds of formulas in racing.
좀 안타깝기는 하지만 드라이버들이 안전이 우선이니까요. 드라이버들이 안전하다니 참 다행입니다. 자, 선수들끼리 사고가 도대체 어떻게 된 거냐.
And there's De Vries, who's got an unusual way of keeping dry in these conditions.
Expensive way.
Yeah, absolutely. But
yeah, he's got to get annoyed now sitting in there for all that time, but the guy's got to be very careful. The marshals, how they take that car off there to avoid damaging the car, but also to avoid causing any injury. To Nick De Vries.
De Vries saying on the radio that basically they couldn't see anything because of the spray, and that's why they all just ended up piling in. Because if one guy goes, I guess, are you looking at the guy in front to when he brakes? And if that first guy doesn't brake, then no one brakes.
The diffuser on the back of the FormulaE car is huge, and it sucks up the water off the track and fires it out the back. And I think, yeah, we saw that they were all just blinded, and they were using each other as a braking reference, and it was wrong.
Yeah, 43 minutes plus 1 lap to go when this racing resumes. We've got Oliver Askew's car now being removed, but won't be too long before racing gets back underway in the SeoulEprix. And here's a look at the incident at the back. So a couple go in there, then another few go in. Yeah. and then another few going, basically.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to describe it as.
The braking zone's so long, you can't think, well, why don't they just, when they see the guy up front, brake harder? They're on the limit of adhesion as they start the braking process, which happens way, way back. Let's just watch from this one. Look at the spray. You see, we can't see, they can't see.
So who has the incident first? It is Nato goes in first, and then someone.
But De Vries goes in.
So I think De Vries and Ticktum maybe came together, and then Buemi's in there as well.
I think Cassidy looked like he was one of the first in. Look how hard Cassidy goes in. No.
So I think it's Buemi who goes in the hardest.
Wow, I mean.
So we are still under red flag conditions for the ABB FIA FormulaE World Championship race here in Seoul. Dario Franchitti and myself, Jack Nichols, with you here in the commentary box as we get ready for racing to get back underway. Nick Cassidy waiting for repairs, but we can head down to the pit lane now and join Nicky Shields, who's down there.
What damage do I have on the car? From left and the brake nut, because the nose was hard. It's all having the car, so it's going
So Mitch Evans then leading the race. I absolutely love that. I was going to sit in behind Lucas and just settle for second, and then I thought, screw it.
Let's go for it. By.
Yeah.
I think he gave a little bit away there, didn't he? I think he set the car up for the wet. Mechanically, you're very limited in what you can change, but you can change the settings on the powertrain under this red flag, and that'll help, and he can readjust that. You see the car, the Nissan, coming off the top of the Mercedes now, and Nick De Vries put the steering wheel back on, getting out, and I think that's his day done.
Yeah, thinks he's got too much suspension damage to continue, and I presume that Buemi, I think Buemi wants to get into the car. I think Buemi's saying, I want to drive back. Yeah, but why? Let me drive it. Yeah, but it's there. Yeah, but you've crashed out of the race, mate.
Well, has he though? Should be a ruling from the FIA now to see what they say. Oh, he doesn't look happy.
No.
I think he's been told no.
Yeah, that's...
Hey everybody, this is Race Control. Obviously we've got a lot of cleanup here. I'll give everybody a good heads up when we're getting ready to go back as soon as we get everything. Thanks.
So 43 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans, Roland, Degrassi, Dennis, Mortara, the top 5 at the moment. Van Dorn down to 7th place. Verline, Sete Camera and Giovinazzi, the top 10. Here's a look at the start again. And Evans getting a I mean, the best launch of anyone, really. It was Roland that lost. It's almost like Roland hit the sponsor strip first, and that's what slowed him down.
Yeah, that definitely could have been. I was so fixated on what Mitch Evans was doing. Everybody else kind of went round 2 by 2, 3 by 3. They managed to get through, no real contact. But yeah, you can see Oliver Rowland's head sort of bob as he hits that and stops accelerating just with wheel spin. But so well controlled by the rest of the field. I mean, not a lot of spray, but it's an unknown grip level for a lot of these drivers at the back whose qualifying runs, the group qualifying run, was in the dry. Oh yeah, you hear the wheel spin over that sponsor logo.
So Roland, and then Dennis got around ahead of. Well, actually, it was Verline. Where did Verline disappear to? That was the sort of oddest one, that he disappeared down to 8th place. Pascal Verline, having started in 4th position on the grid. That's Jake Dennis who's chasing us here.
It looks like Verline's just getting shuffled back.
Yeah.
You can see the amount of spray. This is even at low speed when they hit the puddles, how much spray is really pushed up into the car behind.
Through the chicane. And then this was out into the stadium section, home of the 1988 Seoul Olympics. This is Degrassi's on board. And the interesting thing with Degrassi was he came through in the lead, through this right-hander, and then he kind of covers the inside, but then actually gave Evans space. Look, he covered it, and then he sort of came out of it.
I think he probably thought Evans was far enough back, but Evans was just monster on the brakes.
Splashes through that puddle.
Lucas Degrassi's lifting off, and Evans, you heard the reaction from someone in the crowd there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evans just absolute perfection on the brakes there. I think the field did a really good job of getting through there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not what I was expecting. Oh, here we go.
So Evans to the outside. Degrassi in the lead, then they come through this puddle, and this is where Evans said, I thought I'll just stay in 2nd place, then I thought, nah.
Just, you can hear the wheels on the edge locking the whole time over all those painted surfaces, and it's not a consistent grip level as you're going through those.
I know this is a bit of a dramatic thing to say, but if Evans ends up winning the championship tomorrow, then that was what did it. That lunge for Degrassi.
I hate to say it, but I was just thinking exactly the same thing, which is very worrying.
This is on board with Van Dorn. Just kind of got shuffled out a little bit by Mortara. Had to fight the car through the puddle.
Yeah, not taking any risk, but not. You see him moving.
Oh, look at that. Vern round the outside into turn 1.
Yeah, and you can see that the driver's eye view. You can see Stoffel Van Dorn just moving his head around, trying to see what's going on around about him. Not taking massive risk, but not taking it too easy either.
So that was Van Dorn's opening few corners. So, entertaining start of this race. Let's go back down to the pits and Nicky.
Side by side, nice and easy, and then this guy comes. You gotta race this guy.
Now, I'm also interested if we do restart the race. Maybe you might have touched on this earlier, Dario, where they would choose to restart the race from. Because had we done a lap?
Yeah, I believe we'd done a lap. It was the second time through, wasn't it?
I don't think so. I think we came off the line, then started the lap at turn 1, and then it was end of that lap, because there's no sector 3s registered, and the last lap was 16 seconds. So very interesting to see what will happen there. Da Costa and Nato having a little bit of a chat after the incident here. Hopefully we'll get racing back pretty soon. Because we're kind of in a similar situation as we were in Bern a few years ago, where one racing lap hadn't been completed. Now, they might be able to take it from the second sector because everybody had got through the second sector, because that was the thing in Bern. Not everyone had made it through the first sector. This was Roland. That was a squeezy move.
Well judged, I would say. Look, he cuts back across. He's found some grip, and he thinks he's got a bit of acceleration. Yeah. Brave stuff. Very easy to lose your front wing doing that.
Yeah, but you got ahead of Lucas Di Grassi. But what the grid order will be at the restart remains to be seen, because I believe they can take it from wherever they can take it from. If that is the middle sector and they want to do it from there, I believe that they can. Antonio Felix Da Costa and Norman Nato having a bit of a chat. Da Costa was still in 12th, I think, having started in 12th. Just went down to see his chum, Nato.
He's pretty relaxed, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Cassidy having a chat with Leon Price. Let's head down to the pit lane again. Vernon Kay's down there. Look at that, lovely blue skies over the Seoul Olympic Stadium at the HanaBank SeoulEprix. A beautiful, beautiful evening this will turn into. Track temperature 26 degrees, air now at 29, so it's very much clearing up. And there's a look over this. I love this. This is my first time here. I love this city. You can see one of the 8 mountains that surrounds this
okay, everybody.
Korean capital.
Thank you for your patience. We're getting close to getting everything back together now. We're just finishing up, sorting out the order, finishing up, cleaning up at turn 20. Stand by, and I will give you a little heads up as to what's going to happen.
A minimum of a 5-minute warning for a race restart. So
that wouldn't be enough for me. It took me about 20 minutes to get in the car to get comfortable.
But that was just in your old age, surely.
No, even when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah, I've always been. Yeah, comfort focused, shall we say.
So there's only so much you can change, as you say, but tyre pressures, are they something you can change? And what difference do they make?
Yeah, so you would, if you can do it, you'll lower the tyre pressures, because on a wet track, the tire's not going to put as much energy in, so the tyre pressures would not come up as much. In a dry track, you're going to want lower tyre pressures, because that is the enemy of, certainly, I think all tyres really, they go over pressure, they go over temperature of the air, and tyre heats up, and it's just a vicious circle. So lower the tyre pressures, change what settings you can. If you can change some mechanical settings on the red flag, do it. Otherwise, you're going to change all the electronic settings on the powertrain, on the switches as well, on the steering wheel, and see what you got.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a look across the Han River. That is Gangnam over the other side of the river.
Okay, everybody. This is race control. This is race control. Attention, everybody. Just be aware, we're going to post the restart order on the timing monitors. The last two cars, which are car 10 and car 37, will need to be at the pit exit as they're a lap down, and we need to send them out first. So let's get everybody back in our cars. Let's get everybody start going back together. I'll give you a 5-minute warning when we're ready to get everything going, but let's start putting everything back together and get this race restarted, please.
He's going to give us a 1-minute including the time. There's 2 cars that are down. We'll send those 2 cars at the end of the ticket. We'll release those 2 cars, and then he will release the rest of the pack. We are third. We're going to publish the starting order. Normally we should be third.
Cheers, Vernon. Yeah, it's Dennis is really looking forward to his holiday. It's all he talks about, really. But they're going to post the order on the timing screen. We've heard from race control, so they're going to post the order on the timing screen that the restart will be taking place in. I don't think they have posted it yet, as far as I can tell. Dennis saying he got ahead of Degrassi, but it depends where he got ahead of Degrassi, basically. If it came after the red flag or the flag, then we'll see. There's a look into Gangnam, which is just the other side of the Han River. Wonderful, wonderful to be here in South Korea, which doesn't have a huge motor racing heritage. 4 Formula 1 Grand Prix from 2010 to 2013, but a lot of fans here today, which is fantastic to see in a country with, like I say, not a huge amount of motorsport heritage. And it's been really tremendous to see the excitement.
Enthusiasm, I think, is the word, isn't it? That's the word, yeah. I've really seen a lot of enthusiasm for Formula E, for motor racing, and it's yeah, definitely been cool to be. I've never been to Korea before myself, and it's been a lovely joint, lovely place. Yeah, even though you go to bed with room service at 7 o'clock every night, but that's the jet lag, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. But we've all been enjoying Korea. 43 minutes plus a lap to go, and there's a look at the pit lane as we are just moments away from getting racing back underway here in Seoul. There is the Olympic Stadium where we started inside. So Stoffel Vandoorne, I'm interested about this. In fact, we'll get into it in a couple of moments' time, actually, because Vandoorne, to me, it's so interesting that he's had the chance to just stand there and look where Evans is and really kind of think about it. In the race, you can kind of put it out of your mind, I guess, but if you're looking at the timing order, he knows what Evans has done now.
Yeah, absolutely right. He can't fixate too much on that. He's just got to think about his own situation. Jean-Eric Vergne ahead of him now. He's like, right, how am I going to do that? How am I going to get past him? How am I? What do I need from the car? What was the grip level 20 minutes ago? What's the grip level going to be now? How far can I push?
Everybody, 5 minutes. It's your 5-minute warning. 5 minutes.
Okay, so at 4:43 local time here in Korea, then that is when we will be getting back underway. Less than 5 minutes till racing resumes here in Korea. We're in Seoul. You can see the huge, tall tower over there on the right-hand side, the Lotte World Tower. The 6th tallest building in the world, that, over there.
You learn something every day.
Yeah. 555 meters tall. But here are some of the best race drivers in the world getting ready to head back out onto the circuit and resume racing in what will be much, much drier conditions. It's still damp underfoot, as you can see, but it will dry up fairly quickly, I would have thought. And Evans, we think, well, we'll wait and see, but we think we'll be resuming in the lead of the race. Okay, restart order. Yes, it's Evans, Roland, Degrassi, Dennis, Mortara will be the top 5, and then it will be Vern, then Van Dorn. So Van Dorn will start in 7th. 8th will be Pascal Wehrlein. 9th will be Sergio Sede Camara. 10th will be Antonio Giovinazzi. So basically, the tower that we saw on the left-hand side will be the timing tower that we see on the tower on the left will be the restart order then. But we will only have 16 cars taking the restart. And there is Evans then, and he will be behind the safety car when racing gets back underway. He's on the radio now, talking to his team, and we'll see what happens. This is perfect for Evans, isn't it? Pretty decent for Evans.
I think it would have been more perfect had the race kept going in the sort of damper conditions. I think this might be a spoke in the wheel of Mitch's idea. Well, I don't know. I'm only speculating that he's got a wet setup on that car, but we will soon find out, see how competitive the Jaguar is. He's got to push, though, I think, on those early laps to get an advantage. And we haven't even talked about attack mode or any of the tactics involved in that yet. There's so much to happen in this next 43 minutes plus a lap.
So, the cars that won't be taking the restart.
Okay, if it's all possible, guys, I'd like car 10 and car 3-7 to head to the pit exit, please. Car 10 and 3-7 head to the pit exit.
That's Norman Nato and Nick Cassidy.
In that order.
So if they are able to get running, then they will head to the end of the pit lane and then unlap themselves. So out of the race are Tickton, Buemi, De Vries, Turvey, Lotterer and Askew. So it looks as though Nato and Cassidy here have managed to reverse out of the barriers, haul themselves out and get going again, and they'll join the back of the pack. But because Buemi got out of the car, he wasn't allowed to continue. I'm always reminded of the 2007 You know what, quite often I'm reminded of the 2007 German Grand Prix. Anyway.
You might be the only person.
It was a classic. Oliver Rowland, Marcus Finkelhock. Oliver Rowland then getting ready to resume in 2nd place. Degrassi down in 3rd. Dennis in 4th. Mortara will be in 5th. So Van Dorn will be 7th.
Okay, everybody, I'd like to start moving cars into the fast lane based on the order posted on the timing screens, please. Start moving cars into the fast lane based on the order on the timing screen, please.
Scott Elkins, the race director, saying basically, Mitch Evans, go to the end of the pit lane, please.
And this is when you're glad there's engineers in the pit lane, grown-ups in the pit lane organising this, because if it was left to the drivers, there'd be cars on top of cars. It would be ugly.
Well, yeah, we've already seen that.
Yeah, well, they would do it in the pit lane too. It'd be like boarding for a flight.
That's such a great comparison. That's such a great comparison. Just sticking your nose in, just elbows out a little bit to try and board the plane you're going to be on for 14 hours to Seoul 1 minute earlier.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, this man, Lucas Degrassi, he always, in my opinion, he plays the long game in races. He knows exactly how far to push the car. Normally, at the end of a race, there's a little bit of, there's some rough marks on the car, some little, you know, what do they call witness marks on the nose. So he's the tough one. He's the guy, I think, who the others up front will be worried about right now.
Now, one other interesting thing as far as the Constructors' Championship is concerned, Mortara is 5th and Degrassi is 3rd in the Rocket Venturi team. They're 46 points behind Mercedes EQ.
Okay, guys, I just need everybody to get in order. Push them backwards if you have to, whatever you need to do to get these cars in order, please.
That's Scott Elkins, the race director, saying, come on, let's get in the right order, please. But 46 points is the gap between Venturi and Mercedes only have 1 car in this race now for the remainder. If it finished like this, Mercedes would pick up 6 points, and it...
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack has his calculator out.
Yes, exactly. And whereas it would be 25 points, so that'd be a 19-point swing. So instead of being 46 points, the gap would be 27 going into the final race tomorrow. So this could be a big race for the Rocket Venturi team.
And very importantly for the teams, and even the drivers, because they get paid on this, prize money is paid on the team's championship and not the drivers' championship.
Yeah.
Which is very important for drivers.
So, Van Dorn, if he wins the race
that's
today...
3 minutes, guys, 3 minutes. Let's get going, please.
Or finishes second with the fastest lap, he is the champion today. But he's starting 7th. Evans is leading the race. And so, therefore, if it finished like this, it would go down to the wire tomorrow. In fact, Evans would take...
I need everybody to push back and help get this order done, please. I'm asking all teams to get your cars in order, please, so we can get this race restarted.
It would be 17 points, the gap between them, if it finished like this going into the race tomorrow. Scott Elkins telling the teams to get your cars in the right order. Evans is there, waiting at the front, looking for the restart.
And you see the 2 cars ahead of the safety car there, a lap down, as we heard Scott Elkins say earlier, so they're going to go back round and join the rear of the field, get back onto the same lap as the other cars.
Yeah, because if they just put them at the back of the pack, they wouldn't have used as much energy as everybody else. Here's a look at the reason why we're under red flag conditions. Coming down into turn 20, keep your eyes to the right and at the back of the field, because you're about to see 8 FormulaE cars go into a barrier. Count them with me if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one more, 8.
We just saw the impact. We didn't actually see the car appear behind Lotter.
Okay, let's get car 10 and car 37 to exit the pit exit and go around and complete their lap, please. Car 10 and 37 leave the pit lane.
So that is Nato and Cassidy told to go around and rejoin the back of the pack. Cassidy got out of the barrier pretty swiftly, and he now makes his way out of the pit lane.
Yep, go ahead, car 10 and 37, thank you.
Following Norman Nato, and they will go around to the back of the pack. So this will be interesting to see what track conditions are like. So it's still very much...
Difference is, again, when you go into this new tarmac, this is turn 4, go through a chicane of 5 and 6, then you go down the ramp into the Olympic Stadium on a new surface. That surface continues right the way through the stadium, you see it there, to turn 14. That is like ice. Even when we were standing on that, on the pre-grid.
You fall over?
I was pretty close. I don't have the best balance in the world anymore, but it is slippery.
This is the stadium section then, which Cassidy and Nato are coming around. And obviously they're not using a huge amount of energy, but the rest of the pack were under red flag conditions when they did their second lap. So it's going to balance out pretty much between them when they do catch up with the rest of the gang. Through the stadium and back out, down towards turn 16. And there is Bruno Correa's Porsche safety car at the front of the queue.
I did a lap in the passenger seat of Bruno's car today with Bruno.
Did you?
Yeah.
How are you as a passenger?
Terrible.
Really? Absolutely
terrified. And he was, of course, hamming it up and really, yeah, I said, Bruno, it's his safety car in there. There's nothing safe about you.
How was his driving? Was
he's a very good driver, but he was just going a little too quick for my taste.
Dario Franchitti, 3-time Indy 500 winner, 4-time IndyCar champion. Alongside me, Jack Nicholls, we've got Nicky Shields and Vernon Kay out there patrolling the pit lane too, as we get racing back underway imminently at the SeoulEprix, the final 2 races of the 2022 FormulaE World Championship season. The final race coming up tomorrow, so make sure you join us for that. One of my proudest moments actually came in, I can't remember if it was season 1 or season 2 of FormulaE in Putrajaya, Malaysia, and I drove you from the airport to Putrajaya. And you said you weren't too scared, and that still lives with me as one of the proudest moments of my life.
I've forgotten about that, Jack.
Yeah. I think it might have been season 1. I was quite scared. I was quite scared.
Intimidated at first.
Yeah,
Not
intimidated.
Anymore.
That's the word. Yeah. So Nato and Cassidy return to the pit lane. They will then join the back of the queue, and then once everybody else is in order, off we go. Time to go racing once more with Mitch Evans at the front of the field, looking for his 4th win of the season, and a win that could keep the championship alive until tomorrow. And if he's only 17 points behind Van Dorn going into the race tomorrow, it's still a lot, but it's just the momentum.
It's exactly the word, Jack, isn't it? Momentum. Most sports are very much about momentum, and motor racing is absolutely no different. So here we go, a couple of laps behind the safety car. Get the tyres warm, get the brakes warm, have a look at the conditions.
I mean, will it be a couple of laps?
Just as I said that, I thought, I wonder if he'll just do one.
Yeah.
I hope so. Let's get it going.
Clock is ticking. So Evans leads. Roland is second. Third is the black Venturi of Degrassi. Fourth is the red and white Andretti of Jake Dennis. Fifth is the other black Venturi of Mortara. Then it's Jean-Eric Verne. The silver car is Van Dorn. Black and blue is Verline. Red and white Sete Camera. Then it's Giovinazzi, his teammate. Nato is then coming through, is he? Well, we'll need to see them through a timing beam, and then it'll properly sort out the order on the left-hand side of the tower. 42 minutes and 5 seconds to go. Energy-wise, everybody's pretty much at the same point. But this is a real moving target, energy-wise, this race. The engineers were telling me, well, you basically got to go flat out at the start, and then figure it out as you go. Yeah,
because of the pace, because the pace in a drying track is unknown. So because it's a timed race, you're not sure how many laps it's going to be until you're a bit further on.
So if it finishes like this, Van Dorn would be on 191 points, and it would be 174 back to Mitch Evans, so the 17 points would be the difference. Right, safety car in this lap. We're about to get going again. A big delay after a big crash, but now we're in for a big 42 minutes. And a big chance for Mitch Evans to close the championship lead of Stoffel Van Dorn down and take us down to a really close title fight coming tomorrow. There goes Evans. Evans goes for it quite early on, and we come down into the right-hander at turn 22, out across the line, and we go green once more in Seoul, with Evans leading, with Roland second, with Degrassi third, with Van Dorn, the championship leader in the silver Mercedes EQ, back in 7th place.
Jake Dennis, the red and white Andretti, running in 4th place, been very defensive into turn 1.
Through the right-hander of turn 4, past the Olympic Baseball Stadium. And then down into the chicane. And the two dragons are going side by side and fighting each other as they come into that chicane. Giovinazzi got ahead of Sete Camera. Not sure that's the smartest plan of attack in these early stages, unless Sete Camera's really struggling because he's got Da Costa right behind him as well, who's trying to make a move. But it is Mitch Evans in the Jaguar who is still out in front. They wind their way back out of the stadium and onto the faster part of the course, over this little crest, and then through the left-hander at turn 16 and out onto the back stretch.
And at that point, you swap the slippery surface of the stadium for the standing water of the public road. You can see the spray coming up. Everybody behaving so far. As I say that, Da Costa.
It's Verne. It's Jean-Eric Verne thinking about a look at Mortara. Then he made a mistake, and now Stoffel Van Dorn in the silver Mercedes is closing in on him a little bit. I can't quite work out. Was Verne trying to think of a move there?
No, I think he just outbraked himself. I see his teammate now, Da Costa, going ahead.
That is him ahead of Sergio Sete Camera, and Gunther tried to follow through as well, but couldn't quite manage it. That's Eduardo Mortara in the second black Venturi. Attack mode activation is now open, so you have to use that twice during the course of the E-Prix. You get an extra power boost for 4 minutes on 2 occasions. But Dennis, Mortara, Verne, they've got Van Dorn right behind them. Roland is under quite a bit of pressure from Lucas Degrassi as well at the moment in second place. 39 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Through the chicane, back into the stadium.
Now, to activate the attack mode, you've got to go offline between turns 11 and 12. And normally it costs you a lot of time and track position to do that, but the way that you see it here, with the way the track's laid out, it doesn't cost you a massive amount of time. But if you do it just now, you've got an extra 13% of power. As slippery as the track is, you don't really want an extra 13% of power at this point in the race.
Evans leading, Roland second, Degrassi third, Dennis fourth, Mortara, Verne, Van Dorn, Verline, Giovinazzi, then a bit of a gap back to Da Costa. Evans gained 2 places off the start on the opening 2 corners. Verne has gained 3 places as they come through the right-hander of turn 19 and now down towards turn 20. It's fairly equidistant at the moment. In fact, Degrassi was all over the back of Roland, but has now dropped back a little bit with 38 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Here they come, down towards the right-hander, and at the moment it is Stoffel Vandoorne who would have 191 points. And that's Mortara.
Yeah, Mortara just got absolutely hit by Jean-Eric Verne behind. Just punted him in the braking zone and moved him aside. So I think the stewards will not look kindly on that move.
And that's good news for Vandoorne, because not only does he gain a place on Eduardo Mortara, but he might also get some movement on Jean-Eric Verne if Verne gets a penalty, or Vandoorne might just be able to get ahead of him, and that would move him up into 5th position. And if Vandoorne finishes 5th and Evans wins, it still goes down to the wire tomorrow. Here comes Evans, leading the way. Roland in 2nd, Degrassi in 3rd, 4th is Dennis, and there is Jean-Eric Verne in the gold and black DS Techeetah, running in 5th position with Vandoorne right behind him. Here's a look at what happened to Mortara. Verne was pretty close to him.
Yeah, look at the black car and the black and gold car coming up. And Verne goes for the move and just hit, because the back wheel's off the ground as well, so a bit naughty. I mean, Mortara's moving around.
I think Mortara went back to the racing line. Verne tried to dummy him and then he blocked him again, is how it looked to me. I think that would be a harsh penalty on Jean-Eric Verne.
Having re-seen it, I tend to agree with you, Jack, which is worrying.
36.5 minutes to go.
You can see the track drying out of spots already.
Top 4 coming through.
Drivers moving around, actually just trying to avoid the bumps, trying to find the dry spots. Seti Camera getting defensive though. French going to go round the outside.
Driving from Sete Camera, which is something he's been a little bit in trouble for in the past. And he's running in 11th place at the moment, trying to hold on. This is on board with Verne. Tough.
I don't think Mortara moved too much.
Yeah, well, repeated change of direction at turn 22 is the investigation. And yeah, into attack mode goes Jake Dennis from 4th place. So he is the first driver to activate attack mode, that 13% power boost for 4 minutes, which you have to activate twice during the course of the E-Prix. He kept the position, he's still ahead of Jean-Eric Verne, and he'll now try and use that to gain track position on the 3rd place driver, Lucas Degrassi. So Dennis now, the lights flashing above his head, he's at full power, 250 kilowatts.
Now let's see if he can use it, though, to close the gap on the Black Venturi ahead of him, Lucas Degrassi, because, as I say, that extra 13% of power, a lot of that's going to be wasted in wheel spin on every single corner exit.
On board with Dennis. Wait, there's a little example of it. Comes out of turn 20, now down into turn 22.
The track looks like it's getting about half a second a lap quicker, and that will be part of the calculations the teams make on how long the race is going to be, how much energy they can use per lap.
Less than 35 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans' lead is 1.1 seconds ahead of Roland up at the front. Dennis in that final sector was 4/10 quicker than Lucas Degrassi. We're riding with Dennis now as he tries to close in on the Venturi driver. Those two were battling over the win last time out. Mortara has been given a 5-second time penalty for repeated change of direction. So that's the decision from the stewards, and that's the message from race control. Personally, I'm not against that. It kind of felt like he'd already got his penalty by being hit. There goes Degrassi into attack mode and stays ahead of Jake Dennis. Also taking it was Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, that's a harsh one, I think, on Mortara. As you say, I think the penalty was he served it himself.
Yeah.
But we're not running the steward's room, the race control, which is probably just as well.
Evans leading, Roland in 2nd. There's Degrassi in 3rd spot, with Dennis chasing him down. Degrassi, the winner of the last race in London 2 weeks ago. His final race for the Venturi team, Lucas Degrassi, in car number 11, before he moves to Mahindra for next season, which is Oliver Rowland's team. That's Stoffel Vandoorne, running in 6th place now. So he's behind Jean-Eric Verne. If it finishes like this, then Mitch Evans would take the title fight down to the wire tomorrow, Mortara would be out of the running. It would be a head-to-head between Evans and Van Dorn, but we've got a lot to unfold. Can Van Dorn get ahead of Jean-Eric Verne? There's Evans in the lead, Roland in second, de Grassi in third, Dennis in fourth, Verne in fifth, then Van Dorn in sixth position.
And Jake Dennis is using that extra power that attack mode's given him. 30.3, that's the quickest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, went 6/10 quicker than Mitch Evans up at the front.
Attack now, attack now.
And that's Van Dorn being told to take attack mode. Roland takes his attack mode. Watch for the Mercedes EQ driver taking his, and he manages to keep ahead of Eduardo Mortara as well. So they keep position.
It's a bit of energy this lap.
He said use a bit of energy. That was Mitch Evans, race engineer.
Just attack.
That means just use a bit of energy to make the gap on the car behind you, so when you do take attack mode, there's no chance that Oliver Rowland will be able to pass you.
32 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Here comes Mortara, who's very close to the back of Van Dorn. Even though Van Dorn's in attack mode, Mortara looking quite hooked up at the moment. But maybe Van Dorn will now start to build the gap a little bit. And in fact, Mortara is maybe trying to defend from Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche, who's right behind him. Here they come. Mortara covers the inside, and then back to the outside goes Wehrlein. And Mortara comes across again and almost gets hit again. But
he better be careful.
Yeah,
he's got it. I mean, he's really pushing the limits.
To the inside and then completely to the outside.
Copy, moving.
And that's exactly what Wehrlein has just said. So he's already got a 5-second penalty, Mortara, for moving under braking.
He even thanked his engineer at the end of that, did Pascal Wehrlein. Most unusual behaviour for a driver.
Kyle Wilson-Clark, the man on the other end of the radio, compared to with Pascal Wehrlein. So Evans leading. Will he take attack mode this time around? The race leader might well decide to go through.
It is safe to attack. It is safe to attack. Let's do it. Attack now.
Evans activates attack mode, gets a bit loose as he came into it.
The wall on the inside, the 3 sensors there in the middle of the car. Has got to go over those 3 sensors. We've seen a couple of times this year, Stoffel Van Dorn missed going over all 3 sensors, and it cost him a race win in Saudi Arabia. And it's happening again somewhere else, which I can't remember.
London? No,
it was before that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Let's say it was Marrakesh. 31 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans leading the way. He's in attack mode. Giovinazzi's dropped down into 13th position as we are getting into the second half of this E-Prix now. And this is the continuing fight as they come down into the right-hander.
Wehrlein looking, and Mortara still driving in his mirrors, moving around. I mean, as I say, I thought that first one was a little bit unjust, but if he keeps doing this, he might get another penalty, and it'll be more than 5 seconds.
I think I said, and this is important for Venturi because they are in that title fight with Mercedes EQ. I think I said earlier the gap was 46 points. It's 36 points. My apologies. So Mercedes EQ's advantage is 36 points, so they could take a big chunk out here today, Venturi, if they can continue holding on to these strong positions that they're in. Mortara still trying to keep Pascal Wehrlein behind him. Half an hour plus a lap to go. Evans leading, Roland second. That's the view from the grandstand. And Verne is still pretty close to the back of Jake Dennis. The leaders lapping similar pace at the moment.
That was a lovely slide from Da Costa, further back in the field.
Running in 9th position, Antonio Felix da Costa. We lost 6 cars on the first lap of this race after a big crash down at turn 20. Everybody okay? And everybody bar Verne and Mortara have taken their first attack mode in the top 8 anyway. So they're playing it a little bit differently. We've seen Mortara take his attack modes quite late, quite often this season. And the Venturi team really have a strong strategical game, I think. They've won a lot of races for Edo based on strategies that you can't quite see how they're going to work out, and then they do.
Absolutely right. They really have done a great job. The incident between car 48 Mortara and car 94 Pascal Wehrlein has been noted by the stewards. And Van Dorn is out of attack mode. You see it there, Max Günther further down the field. You see the 5 seconds to go. That's him out of his first attack mode.
So it's just Evans who has another lap left of attack mode.
And Evans is doing a really good job here, just keeping that gap to Oliver Rowland behind him in about 1.3 seconds.
And Giovinazzi has just dropped a couple of places.
I think at turn 1 there was a yellow at turn 1. I think maybe outbraked himself at turn 1.
So Giovinazzi drops down to 15th place after fighting with Sete Camera in the early stages inside the top 10. Here's the energy remaining. De Grassi's got a little less, Roland a little more. De Grassi kind of has the least, and I would say that Dennis has the most. Way adrift actually, down on 64%, but everybody else fairly even. If anything, it's Dennis who has the advantage with 28 minutes plus a lap to go.
And maybe the Dragon Penske guys think the race is going to be a lap shorter than those around them. It depends really what the leader, Mitch Evans, if he remains the leader, how hard he pushes that pace. As I say, he's kept that gap at 1.2, 1.3 seconds so far. We've done a really good job.
There go the top 5. Just outside the top 5 is Van Dorn in 6th. Here's a look at Sims, and he...
Wow!
Buongiorno's Antonio.
And Antonio Giovinazzi gave him the international sign for...
Grazia.
Yeah, exactly.
27 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Mitch Evans leading, Roland in 2nd, De Grassi in 3rd, not quite at the halfway point of the SeoulEprix, the penultimate race of the FormulaE World Championship season here in the South Korean capital. And Lucas De Grassi is running in 3rd spot at the moment, 2.4 seconds back from Mitch Evans, who is in the lead, but like with all FormulaE races, it's going to come to life a little bit later on. Jean-Eric Verne has activated his attack mode. Stoffel Van Dorn now right behind him. Van Dorn's attack in the early stages has faded away a little bit. 26.5 minutes to go. We're on board with Van Dorn. The right-hander now at turn 19. Now we head down towards turn 20. How much lifting and coasting are we doing here?
Not a great deal.
No, a little bit.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's still a bit damp is allowing them to put the braking zones a little longer, allowing them to sort of put a bit of energy into the bank. But yeah,
it's really starting to dry here as well. The track.
Yeah, absolutely right, Jack. And the one bit that looks like it is not drying so far is in the stadium with that new surface. You can hear the cars as they come out of turn 22. You hear them wheels spinning as they cross the painted lines.
Evans leading, Roland 2nd, De Grassi 3rd, Dennis 4th, Verne is 5th. As they emerge again into the stadium. Evans there, Roland chasing. De Grassi's closing in a little bit on Roland, is he? He was about a 10th quicker on the last lap, another 10th taken out in the first sector.
I'm fascinated to see if Roland and De Grassi start battling. They're going to be teammates next year at Mahindra, and after Roland got pole position today, he hinted that's the first XXX kicking that Lucas is getting from me. That shows the mindset of the racing driver.
It was fantastic fighting talk from Roland, even if it was tongue-in-cheek a little. Evans leading, Roland in 2nd place, and then here comes De Grassi. Dennis is still in the fight as well. Verne is still lurking there too. And fan boost winners, Evans, De Grassi, Van Dorn, Mortara and De Costa. Those 5 drivers are awarded the fan boost. They get a 5-second power boost in the second half of the race. And look at this attack. This is Verne trying to get Jake Dennis. So Jean-Eric Verne in 5th place in attack mode, trying to get ahead of the Andretti driver, goes to the outside. Wheel to wheel, Dennis holds on.
Yeah, nothing doing there. It was a good move from Verne. He put pressure on him in turn 22. That caused Jake Dennis to go offline into 1, and Verne almost got the overlap, got the pass made, but not quite enough.
Left him enough room, Dennis, just about.
Yeah, that was close, wasn't it?
24 minutes plus a lap to go. Will Dennis try and activate his attack mode this time around for the 2nd time? As they come through the stadium, no he doesn't. Decides to stay ahead for the moment of Jean-Eric Verne. But this is one of those FormulaE races that's really going to come together at the end, isn't it? When the energy and the 2nd attack modes start to play out. Verne running in 5th, Van Dorn in 6th, Mortara, Verline, De Costa and Freitz are the rest of the top 10.
Yeah, if there's some confusion between in the teams about the length of the race, if it's sort of borderline between one lap or the other, that's when things will get really tasty. But again, Mitch Evans, you see him in the TCS Jaguar, I think he's driving a brilliant race right now, just keeping that gap again. 1.1 seconds on Oliver Rowland this lap. Yeah, just doing exactly what he has to do to keep himself in championship contention. He can't do any more.
Van Dorn, Mortara.
Mitch Evans got no control over what these guys do. It looks like Mortara's going to do a late lunge. Bit of defending from Van Dorn.
Mortara can't quite get the move. He knows he's got 5 seconds of attack mode left, and now he is out of it. So he's now back on the same power mode as Stoffel Van Dorn, but he was getting quite racy there, Eduardo Mortara, because he knows that Van Dorn is both his driver's championship rival, and if he finishes behind him, then he's out of the running, but also team's championship rival with Mercedes EQ and Rocket Venturi.
And he's got that 5-second penalty coming at the end of the race.
And there goes Evans into his second attack mode. Still stays ahead of Oliver Rowland by the looks of things as they emerge out of the stadium. Evans leading, Rowland second, but the gap comes down after Evans activates his attack mode. Third is Degrassi, who's dropping back a little bit. Dennis is joining the fight a little. Rowland looking for his second FormulaE victory after picking up his first at the end of season 6. So Rowland, well, only Evans has used both of his attack modes. Everybody else has got at least one to use. Alexander Sims, 5-second time penalty for turning Gio around, which seems about fair.
Yeah, that's about right, isn't it? Evans has got to push right now, though. He's got to get that gap to Oliver Rowland. You see, Antonio Felix da Costa got the part of another car in the nose of his DS Techeetah.
Into turn 22, out across the line again, and Evans lost the ground, but then he makes up the ground in the final sector, 4/10 quicker than Oliver Rowland. Mortara there still trying to fight his way to get ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn for 6th position. As it stands, Van Dorn would not win the championship. Evans would take it down to the final day of the season tomorrow here in Seoul. This stadium has seen some great sporting moments since 1988. As it stands, this would be the gap. It would be 19 points, Van Dorn's advantage over Evans. So it would basically mean Evans needs to win and Van Dorn not score any points, is basically what it would come down to. Mortara would be eliminated from the championship running.
Second and pole position would do it. Or second and fastest lap would
it's okay,
do it.
yeah. But broadly speaking, you take my point.
I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anytime. 20.5 minutes plus a lap to go. That's the rear view from Van Dorn in the tower on the left-hand side. So we can see that Mortara is still fairly far away. Evans is just bossing this race, really.
So far, but Rowland is hanging on with Evans in attack mode as well. This is the part it will really tell, though, these long straights in this last sector between 18, 19, 19 to 20, and then 21 up to 22.
Third on Van Dorn.
Van Dorn's going to be careful here.
So that's Van Dorn ahead of Verne, actually. So that's Van Dorn up into 5th place. He's just got ahead of Jean-Eric Verne because he was under pressure from Mortara.
Great job, mate. Let's go.
And he scores 10 points for 5th place.
So if it finishes like this, the championship would still go down to the wire tomorrow, but it would be even more weighted in Van Dorn's favour. To be honest, it's one of those where if the gap is anything from 17, 18, anything from 19, 20, 21, 22, kind of doesn't matter because you're in that realm of you've got to win and hope the other guy retires, basically. So even if Van Dorn picks up a couple more points, it doesn't make a huge difference to the outcome tomorrow.
No, absolutely right, Jack. It's this is the point where we're seeing the balance of the cars, who's got the best balance on the dry bit of the track, the grip level front to rear, and it looks like the Mercedes EQ is working quite well.
So here was the move coming out of, it got alongside coming out of that was an odd one, wasn't it?
That was like Verne lifted on the inside, or just had such a bad exit out of turn 21.
Van Dorn was just able to kind of drive past.
Yeah, very weird.
But Van Dorn is now up into 5th place. Evans is just finishing his attack mode. Down towards turn 22. Through the right-hander and back out over the line again. Van Dorn, Verne, Mortara and Verline, these four in the fight, but Evans is all by himself out of the front. He has now got a 2.3-second lead over Oliver Rowland, and that is good news for James Barclay and the Jaguar team. What's less good news is a 5-second time penalty for Norman Natto for doing something wrong during the safety car procedure. Don't know what it was exactly for Natto. There's Rowland activating his attack mode for the second time. Degrassi follows him through. Dennis stays out. So no attack mode activation this time for Jake Dennis. So they now come into the left-hander of turn 16. And Norman Natto didn't keep a 10-car length gap to the car ahead, basically, on the safety car restart. That's why he's got a 5-second penalty. Dilbag Gill watching his man in second position. Alexander Sims was 4th in New York. That's the best result for a Mahindra driver so far this season. So second here for Oliver Rowland would be a huge thing for the Mahindra's championship. They're 9th. I think it would pretty much, definitely, yeah, it would definitely launch them above Nissan in the points.
Arm fan boost.
Van Dorn being told to arm fan boost. That's how the championship would finish, or would look if it finished like this, with Van Dorn 20 points ahead of Mitch Evans going into the final race of the day tomorrow, race of the season tomorrow, because Evans now has the fastest lap at the moment, which gives you an extra World Championship point, and Van Dorn is up into 5th position. Degrassi running in 3rd, trying to close in on Oliver Rowland ahead. 16.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go.
And you can see the dry line they're forming in the stadium, and again, that's going to change the way the car handles massively the balance. And those cars that may be working a bit better before, all of a sudden are going to struggle. But you can still see the car sliding across the surface. But then they get back onto the normal street surface and gain a bit of grip from this point on. Through the kink of 17 to the left and 1 to the right through 18. We saw some action there in qualifying this morning.
Through the right-hander. As a moment in the team's championship, that would be the gap between them. 301 points for Mercedes EQ, 276 for Rocket Venturi.
Oh, there we go. It's Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche overtaking Edo Mortara in the Venturi.
So that would change the permutations that we just saw in the championship points for the teams, but it would be somewhere in the late 20s. Also, Mortara's got that 5-second time penalty at the moment. That would drop him outside of the points. So those teams' championship standings, it would go down to tomorrow for sure, but they'd be a little further away, Rocket Venturi, depending on where he finishes. There is Van Dorn now. The gap would be up to 21 points because Oliver Rowland just set the fastest lap of the race. But it would still go down to the final day tomorrow if it finishes like this. 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go.
Rowland, a minute left, a minute 9 seconds in his time. What he's going to use that, try and close that gap to Mitch Evans. But Mitch Evans done the fastest sector of anybody through sector 1. He's returning service, shall we say?
Yeah.
And as the track dries out, we expect the fastest lap to continue lap to lap, even without attack mode, just to get faster.
That's very true. Verne is under pressure here from Pascal Wehrlein. Now, Verne has only just activated his attack mode, and he's very, very close, whereas Wehrlein's only got 40 seconds left, so it's kind of now or never for Wehrlein in the black and blue Porsche. Special livery for this weekend for the Tag Heuer Porsche squad to commemorate the launch of a new watch. A little bit of a wobble on the front of Verne's wing.
Watch Wehrlein now, though, Jack. He's got a good run out of turn 21.
Will this be the attack down into turn 22? Verne looking in his mirrors, but Wehrlein is just a little too far back. Can't make the move.
Verne in the black and gold to Cheetah, absolutely the limit of the brakes. Wehrlein dummies again. Great stuff from both drivers. Double FormulaE champion Jean-Eric Verne in the black and gold for Cheetah, doing a really good job keeping Pascal Wehrlein behind him. Wehrlein is now out of attack mode.
Verne has another 3 minutes of it remaining. Those are the fan boost winners again, so if they need it, they can use it. Van Dorn can use it to keep... Verne can use it to keep Wehrlein at bay.
Wehrlein just on fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, really pushing there. Evans is just on the fastest first sector of anyone. So I think that will be something to watch and keep an eye out for, especially with Evans and Van Dorn, because they will want that fastest lap point. Evans' lead is 1.7 seconds over Oliver Rowland in second place. This is a super drive from Evans, and those first few corners of the E-Prix were just remarkable.
Yeah, that showed his intent, didn't it?
Yeah.
Super focused, and even just to keep the car between the walls in these tricky conditions for all the drivers that have managed it, so impressive. But just Mitch Evans knowing where the limits of that car are. Yeah, fantastic stuff as he comes through turn 22 now, the last corner, to finish another lap.
So, into the right-hander comes Evans, and this is a lap of this SeoulEprix circuit through the left-handers of 2 and 3.
You see the patches of damage. Turn 4, 19 right, back over to the right of the corner now an exit, because 5 and 6, you got the chicane, surface change as you go down the ramp into the Olympic Stadium now, turn 7. Oh, big slide from Mitch Evans as he comes through turn 8. 9, 10.
We're on plan B1, everything's under control. I see you are under consuming. You just keep doing what you're doing.
The under consuming means he's using less energy than they'd banked on, really.
And that's Mortara. What's happened to Eduardo Mortara here?
I heard him hit the wall in turn 2.
And his championship hopes look to be over, and I think they may well be now.
Right rear's down.
Yeah, right rear damage. He's got some advertising hoarding on it as well. But Mortara maybe has tapped the wall and picked up a puncture, and his race is run, and his championship is over. 11.5 minutes plus a lap to go. He might be able to crawl back to the pits, but Eduardo Mortara is out of the running, though he's pulled off at the side of the circuit. And Mortara is out. And it was always going to be a long shot coming into this weekend for Eduardo Mortara, and that is keeping up his horrible run of scoring form. That's now 4 points in the last 5 races for Eduardo Mortara. He's managed to find reverse by the looks of things.
Yeah, he's trying, you can see him working with the paddles. He's trying to back it up without damaging the car further. Good man.
Yeah, very, very nicely done from Eduardo Mortara. But bad news for Venturi, because that's a couple of points that they were going to get that have slipped away in the team's championship. Here's a look at what happened to Mortara.
The tyres are already down by that point, I think, the right rear.
Yeah. And that's he's coming around turns 2 and 3. So where could he have hit the right rear?
Well, there was an incident under investigation, turn 20, with Jean-Eric Verne and him.
Okay, so maybe a collision.
Yeah.
They could have had a... Here we go, on board with Mortara.
I wonder if what's happened is...
A slow puncture.
Exactly, if there was contact and cut the tyre.
Well, Mitch Evans is continuing to lead. Looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race going into the final race tomorrow. At the moment, Van Dorn's lead would be 21 points over Mitch Evans. It would basically need to be a win and a win for Evans and no score for Van Dorn. But stranger things have happened, usually in Formula E.
And there's a lot of rain forecast tomorrow.
Oh, I don't even bother looking at the weather forecast anymore.
That's pretty...
It was meant to be raining all day today. We were never going to get the race.
It did rain for most of it, didn't it?
We're never going to be able to run this race, according to the forecast.
Van Dorn locking up at the 22. Van Dorn had the fastest lap of the race for a second, but that was it. And you see Edo Mortara, another championship away. Last year in Berlin, from no fault of his own, Mitch Evans' car wouldn't leave the line. Edo was unsighted and hit him, broke his back in that incident.
Really tough for Eduardo Mortara, especially when the sort of form almost just kind of falls away and things go against you. And he had the brake problem in New York City, and just one thing after another. Really tough. But here's Van Dorn, under pressure from Jean-Eric Verne for this 5th place with 9 minutes plus a lap to go. Sims is now up into the points in 10th position, having started 21st on the grid, Alexander Sims.
Good day for the Mahindra so far, with Oliver Rowland, his teammate, in second.
If Verne could get 3rd in the championship here, if he's able to get ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn and have a good couple of races, Verne could potentially get up into that 3rd spot.
He's got nothing to lose, so in these tricky conditions he can just float that much closer to the edge than Stoffel Van Dorn ahead of him in the silver Mercedes EQ can. So that's, yeah, him, I'm just pushing that a little bit better, because if you end up just making a mistake, putting it in the wall, if you're Stoffel Vandoorne, you certainly cannot do that. You've got to leave some margin for error.
8 minutes plus a lap to go. Fastest lap set by Jake Dennis this time around, a 25.745 for the British driver. That would give him another point, running in 4th spot at the moment, which would give him another 13 points in the championship, which would actually take him ahead of Nick de Vries, maybe even ahead of Robin Freitz. So he might be up to 7th in the standings after this, Jake Dennis, potentially. And good news as well for Andretti. They might get ahead of Nissan ahead of Porsche in the standings, depending on what happens over the next couple of days. So lots of things to be resolved, all on the final day of the season tomorrow. But Evans is just disappearing. And what's going to be really interesting is Evans was really unhappy with his car in the dry conditions earlier on today.
I think that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, and then in the wet, he said it felt a lot better. We're basically on a dry track now, and he's still managing to drive away.
I wonder if he's just figured out how to drive the track better, or if they made some changes to the whole package between qualifying and the rest. But he's, yeah, as you say, Jack, just on fantastic form. He's just stretching that gap, doing everything he needs to do. Verns falling off the back of Stoffel Vandoorne just a little bit. You can see some damage to the left front of Joran Verns, black and gold to Cheetah. I think he almost had some contact somewhere, so the wheel cover over his left front wheel is slack. We've seen a lot worse damage in that, and the car's continuing. The good thing about these cars, they're not aerodynamically sensitive. They're designed with no real downforce in mind. That way they can run so closely together.
Look, I know it's ifs and whats and whatever, but if Evans doesn't break down with 2 laps to go in London, and then you have this race, the gaps must be 10 points or less. And I know that's how championships work, and that's what motorsport is, but so tough for Evans.
Oh, absolutely right, Jack. And it was the same thing that cost him a shot at the championship last year. He put himself in the position in Berlin. That's not taking anything away from Stoffel Vandoorne, who's done a phenomenal job this year. But so is Mitch Evans. That's the kind of thing when Mitch Evans is home in New Zealand in a couple of months' time. That will be in his head. What could have been?
7 laps to go. You're 1% up on Roland now.
7 laps to go. You've got more energy.
Yeah, you're the highest energy car on track. Orange coat, if you can, and then green on the line.
That's what you love to hear. And we've seen Evans do this. Remember Mexico City when he won the race by about 3 days.
Season 7.
Yeah, just dominant. Vandoorne moving over. He's not blocking there. There's a bump that he's avoided every lap in the middle of that straight.
Now the question for Evans is, he's still got a fan boost, as has de Grassi and Vandoorne, but can he take the fastest lap away from Jake Dennis? Sorry, Verline going in a little bit deep into turn 1, but in attack mode is where Dennis set his fastest lap, and they haven't got any more attack modes to use, so I think it would be a tough ask for Evans to get that point for fastest lap. Also, you'd then be pushing a lot and taking a lot of risk. So we'll see what Evans decides to do.
For 1 point.
De Grassi's just done the fastest first sector of anyone.
And as you say, Jack, it's getting to that point, it's win or bust.
Whatever happens, the 1 point doesn't really...
Yeah, that's very true.
4.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Evans continuing to lead, catching up to the back of Antonio Giovinazzi, who he's going to put a lap on. Giovinazzi's been through the pits at some point during this race, so that's why he is 10 seconds off the back of Norman Nato and almost a lap down on Mitch Evans. And Evans is requesting blue flags, and Giovinazzi's pitting again, so more trouble. Giovinazzi's retired.
Oh, Evans locks up in a 22. Sorry, Jack.
Goodness me. Was he? Do you think he was pushing for a fastest lap there? No, he was 6 tenths down on Sims's middle sector, so I don't think so. And now there will be some added time at the end of this race because of the time spent behind the safety car. 45 seconds. So we will have an extra 45 seconds added to the race clock. But Evans lost about 8 tenths to Oliver Rowland on that last lap in the end. De Grassi's on his fan boost, but he's not near anybody else at the moment.
And this is where Evans now has to reassert his authority on this race. Start to gap Oliver Rowland again. Don't let Rowland get within a second of it, because that's when, you know, he's going to start really, if you're Mitch Evans, driving in your mirrors again. He's got to just pull that gap. Let's look at a replay of it up in turn 22. Watch him go into the brakes and switch the front of the car, sliding wide. He was so late on the brakes. Just misjudged it a little bit. If we had a clear visor on Mitch Evans, you can see his eyes get very big as he sees himself missing that corner and a potential race win going away from him.
Oh, and in the wall is that Sims. It's Sims. It's the Mahindra of Sims. Running in 9th position. And that would have been heart in the mouth for a moment for Dilbagh Gill. Front left corner in the barriers. And
that's in the middle of the stadium.
He's fine on the radio. But Sims has crashed out, promoting Gunter up into 10th place. And that could potentially, as Van Dorn hits his fan boost, but that could potentially end the race there in that scenario, because we've got the added time, but we need an intervention in order to clear that Sims car away. Another visit to the barriers today for Alexander Sims, unfortunately. And here is Nick Cassidy getting ahead of Max Gunter and up into 10th place.
Attention all teams. Full course yellow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow, full course yellow.
Full course yellow deployed. Everybody has to go at 50 miles an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, sorry.
And that's definitely the lesser of two evils for Mitch Evans. If we go behind the safety car, everybody bunches up. His lead's gone. And when they go back to racing, if they go back to racing, Oliver Rowland's thinking, there's a race win on this, and he's going to attack. Whereas right now, they've still got the same gap as they had when the full course yellow came out.
What happens with Simsy here? Oh, there he goes. He's gone in sort of on the exit, hasn't he, of one of the right-handers, and then slid along the barrier.
It looks like it. There's marks. Let's see.
So halfway through the stadium, I think he's going to back end goes.
Again, is that not what happened this morning? I think that's what happened in turn 2.
Crunch. Crunchy.
Oh, broken wheel. Yeah, if you're being flippant here, you'd say, well, after tomorrow you don't need the cars, but that's being... this is a lot of damage today for a lot of teams.
And a lot for Sims.
Yeah, a lot for Sims. And these poor mechanics and engineers are going to have to work all night to repair a lot of broken racing cars.
So, that is how the championship stands if it finishes like this. 21 points, Van Dorn's advantage over Mitch Evans. And it will be all or nothing tomorrow. Evans will need to win and hope that Van Dorn does not score well in order for him to win the title. Sims out of the car, the crowd applauding the Mahindra man. His final race in Formula E coming up tomorrow. And he's out of the SeoulEprix here. But the other Mahindra still running in 2nd place. I cannot imagine, because I thought it as well, because they've got such similar helmets. Well, here's the live championship standings. Van Dorn would be on 195. Evans would be on 174. 21 points back with 29 points available tomorrow. Mortara in 3rd would be out of the running. We're now into added time, the last 30 seconds, and then it will be +1 lap at the end, but it looks as though this is how the oh, and it's full safety car now. Full safety car has been deployed, so we're on the penultimate lap of the race now.
Yeah, I don't see them getting that car out, unfortunately. Unfortunately for us watching, but very fortunate for Mitch Evans, especially as the safety car comes out now. But he is from the start, from the time he hit the throttle pedal off the line, yeah, he's absolutely had not a flawless race, because he had that one lock-up, which we'll remind him of later, in turn 22. But apart from that, just that overtaking manoeuvre on the first lap.
And look how much energy he's got compared to everyone else. I mean, this is Evans and Jaguar can do this.
He's won
sometimes
3 races this year. This will be his 4th win.
Soon to be 4. He did the double in Rome as well, don't forget.
I mean, Rome was ridiculous.
But then a double this weekend, doable.
Absolutely right.
It's going to be a big ask. And also, Stoffel Van Dorn, Mercedes EQ. the whole gang there, it's tough to bet against that.
They're a great team. But all that Mitch Evans can do, he can only control his own fate, and that is by winning the race. And that's what he's trying to do.
Sims climbing out of the car.
Yeah, the applause of the fans is not gonna help him right now. Not gonna ease the pain.
Evans asking on the radio, where is Van Dorn? The answer is 5th position. As they come around now behind the safety car to be starting the final lap of the SeoulEprix on what is turning into a beautiful evening here in South Korea. And the final race tomorrow is going to be quite the spectacle. Depending on the weather again, I'm sure that'll be lots of discussion. You see the baseball stadium there on the left-hand side. It's actually a baseball game going on. I didn't realise there was an actual baseball game going on this evening. Huh. Wow. I wondered if we were going to watch some of that and I'd get to commentate on some baseball for the first time. But this is looking like a home run for Mitch Evans this afternoon.
Oh, I like what you did there, Jack.
That baseball stadium, the home of LG Twins and Doosan Bears, who both compete in the KBO League. But Evans now through the stadium section for the final time. That's where the podium's going to be in a few minutes as well.
And this is the point you're thinking, just make it to the end. Come on to the car. You're like, don't have any of the dramas that he had in London, for instance. Just get to the end. He's done all the hard work. The Jaguar team have done all the hard work.
They certainly have, and they've.
Okay, everybody, apologies. This is going to end under safety car. Please have the top 3 cars go to the podium, which is in the stadium. Top 3 cars go to the podium, which is in the stadium.
Nothing the organisers, the marshals could do there.
Yep, absolutely. A crash right at the end for Alexander Sims means this is going to end behind the safety car. Didn't quite go as Mercedes EQ wanted today. Obviously would have loved to have wrapped up both titles, but again, 5th place for Van Dorn. It's by no means a disaster. He's only failed to score once so far this season.
He did what he had to do today.
But Mitch Evans did what he had to do today. Aggression at the start. The checkered flag is there. Evans wins the SeoulEprix.
Just to clarify,
Yes.
car 3-0.
Yes! Come on!
Yes! To do another lap and then
Yes.
Absolute delight in the Jaguar garage. Not ideal for Mercedes EQ, but they still have the lead in both championships.
The moment the team leads it, let's all enjoy this moment.
Okay, again, guys, I want the top 3 cars, car 9, car 30, car 11, to effectively check the checker again, and then go back to the
Well,
stadium.
for Mitch Evans, it is that all-important home run. He's done all he could today. He'll get a chance to do it again tomorrow. Stoffel Van Dorn, damage limitation in 5th place. Championship still on as we head into the last day of the championship tomorrow. Can Mitch Evans double up? He's certainly got the credentials. He's done it before this year with Jaguar. And if Stoffel Van Dorn can't score tomorrow, well then, it really will be on for Mitch Evans. But at the moment, it's advantage Stoffel Van Dorn. Mitch Evans wins here from Oliver Rowland. Lucas de Grassi rounding out the podium. Sun out. Conditions almost perfect, far from what we started in a good hour or so ago. Mitch Evans done all he can. He'll be pleased with that. Oliver Rowland, a good, strong second place from him. His first rostrum of the season, Mahindra's first rostrum, and then Lucas de Grassi rounding out the podium in third place, continuing on from his strong form in London last time out when he won. All the fans looking on here in Seoul. This race held in the Jansil Sports Complex. Now for the formalities. Drivers will be weighed. We'll get their thoughts as well. And then it'll be time for the celebrations.
Just to know how hard to push.
I had one little moment.
In the last corner when you looked at
I was worrying about gymnastics. I wasn't sure if it was going to fit or not. And I braked too late.
Oh, that was nice.
Nice, huh? Hey. More entertainment than tomorrow, huh? And like, yes. Beautiful lockup, huh?
Always good to get the drivers' thoughts, listening to them as they share their experiences.
Mitch Evans, huge congratulations. You did exactly what you wanted to do today, and you've kept this championship title very much alive.
Yeah, thanks. That was the plan. It's been a lot of work since London to make sure we can make this result possible. This morning was tricky. We didn't quite have the pace, but then the rain came at the right time, and I saved my qualifying, qualifying at the front, and a good start. The race was really hard to manage. The conditions changing all the time. So yeah, thanks to the team for guiding me through. This is what we needed. We don't give up, and we go to tomorrow, and we'll keep fighting.
The team were hugely emotional when you crossed the finish line. Obviously means so much to them as well. But the big question, can you do the double like you did in Rome?
That's the plan. I've done it before, so let's do it again.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Mitch Evans.
He will need to do the double. Can he do it? He's done it before. Stoffel Van Dorn just needs points tomorrow. Well, Mitch Evans was on a charge in the very wet and tricky conditions early on. He did all the hard work. And then when it dried out, he